I'm back. I was in Atlanta for a little bit longer than I wanted to be, but now we're here, and all things are good. There was some snow in Ohio, plus the ice threat in Atlanta kind of held me up a little bit, and I feel like a lot happened while I was gone. This one, Tigers, obviously, there's the big gap in arbitration between Skubal and the Tigers, and the belief is that they're going to deal him because they're not going to be able to extend him. I mean, honestly, I think it is the largest gap actually in arbitration history. The arb number that he wants and what the Tigers are offering. Let me double check that. I should have had that already up. Which is wild because like it's Skubal, best pitcher in baseball, in his final arb year. So yeah, the arbitration difference. Okay, so this year, yeah, they filed arbitration. Skubal's side filed for a salary of $32 million a year for this year, and the Tigers only came back with $19 million is what they decided for. So that is a monumental difference in kind of what the arb will be. So anyway, obviously, like people, it's no secret that he's been kind of involved in some trade talks, and the Yankees and Cashman, as they should, as well as a bunch of other teams, checked in just to see what it would cost. There was the belief that maybe he would get dealt to the Dodgers. I never really bought into that. That would have absolutely sucked also. Personally, I would have really disliked that. But after brief talks with the Tigers, the Yankees figured they have no chance to land Skubal due to the massive haul that Detroit wants in return. My guess is they want everybody. They want, Ben Rice, LaGrange, Schlittler, George Lombard Jr., and they should ask for all those guys, considering the fact that Skubal is, the definition of generational pitcher. He is, the kind of, crazy, intimidating, daunting lefty that, Randy Johnson was, but probably a better overall pitcher. Then I saw this update from Sleeper Mets shortly after. Mets got indications in the Tarik Skubal might have cost their 5 best prospects per Joel Sherman, which probably is going to cost the team's 4 or 5 best prospects, and that's going to turn a lot of teams off. Obviously, the Mets went and got Peralta instead, which, completes an offseason that I was kind of down on a little bit, but, to now a very, very good offseason and a potential challenger to the Dodgers. Obviously, anything can happen in a playoff series, and you got to make it there, and you got to, quote-unquote, hold up your end of the bargain. But I did think that was fascinating that it's kind of coming out. The teams are dropping out because of how expensive Skubal is going to be, and you run the risk of gutting your farm for 1 year, and that's always kind of a scary thought. This is another quick note that I just wanted to throw out there. Obviously, the Nationals are moving some pieces, and this I thought was a big enough deal. Rangers acquired Mackenzie Gore, and the Nationals got, a 5-for-1. It's a huge return for the Nationals. The Fiend kid was a 12th pick last year, and, evaluated ashamed to love him. Now, I haven't really dug into studying these guys that much, but, you're looking, and this Rangers rotation, DeGrom, Eovaldi, Gore, Leiter, Rocker, really, of those last 3, you trust the stuff, you trust the velocity. Gore being better than the other 2, but it's like if one of Leiter or Rocker can take a step ahead, this rotation automatically becomes a really nice rotation. And for Gore, I think Gore's a really good pitcher. I trust the data more than I think that his ERA will be better in years to come because his ERA was worse than the data would suggest. And he's going to be a high strikeout guy, too. And I think that really matters kind of in the postseason. I think Mackenzie Gore's going to have to start in postseason. So, you're looking at the Nationals, and this is a great tweet from Big Bob's Cards. They're in kind of a weird mode right now, but Gore is kind of remnants of that Juan Soto deal. Got this. The Giants aggressively pursued C.J. Abrams, but were unable to agree on a fair return for the Nationals. The Nationals are looking to stack as many young players as possible, but it's become super, super clear. If they think they can turn you into 3 or 4 young players, they trust their development, and they will get them up, and maybe that'll be kind of they're doing their best A's impression, I guess. Outfielder-wise, in the outfielder world, you had the top available this offseason being Trent Grisham. Obviously, he signed with QO. Kyle Tucker, obviously, signed with the Dodgers. Cody Bellinger. And then after Cody Bellinger, you were going to see, okay, where our team's going to go. My thought was, probably pretty correct, my thought was, okay, most teams might go after Luis Robert first. They did. He ended up getting traded to the Mets. And then next up, San Harrison Bader. Now, Harrison Bader is not going to be able to replicate like what he did offensively last year, I don't think, because I think he had more WAR than Trent Grisham, who had a ridiculous season, 30 home runs and under 10 doubles, which that's a great trivia question for your fans, for your boys, excuse me. But Harrison Bader is a center fielder, maybe a corner fielder, so it makes you wonder about like, okay, Jung Ho Lee. Are they? They're probably going to keep Jung Ho Lee in center, maybe. But the Giants are going to have a really good defensive outfield, and if Harrison Bader gives you like 70% of what he gave you last year offensively, this is a huge win for San Fran. And here we go. San Fran's outfield's huge. And so, like, to have multiple elite defenders out there is going to really benefit them greatly. And you got to trust them good up the middle and good in the corner. So, this is a big deal, and a deal that makes sense that he was the next up off the board. So now you have all these outfielders kind of settled into their new homes next year, and I'm interested to see kind of the tracks of Bader, Luis Robert, and Cody Bellinger, and Trent Grisham, honestly, because those guys, I'm curious to see how they will rank WAR-wise after this year. Not obviously Kyle Tucker, because Kyle Tucker is better than all of them. Here we go. I'm gonna play this. This is from Foul Territory. Obviously, Jim Bowden.
This particular move for San Francisco. What do you think about this particular move for San Francisco and their offseason as a whole?
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, Bader's a fourth outfielder. He's a pretty good defensive player. He is a good base runner.
Well, calling him a fourth outfielder kind of surprises me. I feel like Harrison Bader's too good to be a fourth outfielder. Yeah, last year, McLean's Cy Young. Now, look, he's not going to be able to replicate this, but last year he posted a 122 and 3.2 WAR. That's not a fourth outfielder. That's not a fourth outfielder. Hey, he skipped out on Harrison Bader's last year. That's kind of crazy. I should have listened to this beforehand. Harrison Bader's not a fourth outfielder.
His uniform is dirty by opening day, and he tends to irritate coaching staffs by the end of the season. Here's a fourth outfielder. He's a pretty good defensive player. He is a good base runner. His uniform is dirty by opening day, and he tends to irritate coaching staffs by the end of the season. When he was a member of the Yankees, he thought he should be hitting cleanup on that team. So what I've heard, in terms of clubhouse guy, not the best, but he plays hard. Fans love him. Because of that. And to me, it's a good fourth outfielder. We all love pitching and defense. And so to me, Harrison Bader is a plus when it comes to that. But my view on the player is more of a fourth outfielder than a starting center fielder.
What does this say about Jung Ho Lee, who they paid $113 million? Is it maybe a misstep on evaluation, or his game, or his defensive?
I was really high on Jung Ho, just for the record. Like, I drafted him in my fantasy league, would not let him go. Like, I really thought Jung Ho Lee was going to be a star last year. Let you know how little I know about evaluating prospects, I guess.
Game, which is supposed to be his trademark, hasn't translated to the big leagues for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think
hasn't translated evaluation, or his game, or his defensive game, which is supposed to be his trademark, hasn't translated to the big leagues for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they wanted outfield depth here. I haven't talked to anyone since the news just broke, so I haven't had a chance to pick up the phone and call Buster Posey or Manassian to get kind of their take on the role that Bader's going to be. But they still do love Jung Ho Lee. Bader is not taking his job in this transaction. Again, I just think it's a depth play that they're making here.
Obviously, I checked this morning. I didn't see contract numbers from passing, but I would be shocked if he was going there to be a depth piece. Like, Harrison Bader is good enough to start in a lot of outfields.
I haven't seen the contract yet. Is that part of the breaking news? Is that out there yet, Scotty?
Not yet. We just have 2 years, so no money yet in terms of what he's getting. It appeared that he was looking for 3, but he gets 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty low contract. And look, he's a solid fourth outfielder. And in that ballpark, as you guys know, you really need center fielders in all 3 outfield positions. So, Bader coming off the bench, giving you depth, you get an injury, you can still catch the ball for your pitching staff. So, yeah, I like the fit in that ballpark.
I'm interested to see what the numbers are, but I guess what a great fourth outfielder. Oh, my God. Like, here we go. Like, no, I don't know. I don't think it'll be low. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it was like $16 to $18 million a year, or even $20 million a year for Harrison Bader, given what the outfield market is right now. That's not a fourth outfielder, to me at least. I'll text Ryan and see what he thinks on this. Look, we're getting closer and closer to spring training, and for me, like, the thing I'm really excited about is spring training is like going to a comic book convention. If you know what you're looking for and are looking in the right rows, you could find some really, really cool stuff. And I am really excited, and I pay attention to Baseball America a pretty good amount. And obviously, like, you guys know that I do some stuff on Fireside Yankees as well. But I love seeing pitchers in spring training go up against big league hitters, and I like seeing. You like seeing young. So here we go. I like seeing young pitchers go up against big league hitters in spring training, and I love seeing young hitters go up against proven vets spring training wise. Not that you can pull a ton from it, but I like to see the stuff. One guy that this spring training I'm going to be on the lookout for at great length is Carlos LaGrange. Baseball America dropped their pitcher with the highest Stuff Plus score in their top 100, and he is number one, Stuff Plus 121. He's got a generational fastball, and for him, it's always been a location issue. And I know, and that's baseball, Jacob and Ryan and I have talked. He's a guy that, like, if the location gets better, he's got 1 or 2 potential, because he does throw 102, 103. He is 6'7". He is a heavier body. He is imposing. And so I'm looking at this, and there's a lot of, like, great pitchers on here, obviously. But this spring training, like, this is a group of guys to be on the lookout for when you're, flipping through spring training games. Now, obviously, we still have some time, and, like, we'll do a full, players to watch during spring training on this channel for sure. But I'm looking at this, and, like, Yankees fans should be excited about Carlos LaGrange and kind of his upside. I know that, that's maybe someone that the Brewers are interested in getting in return for Freddie Peralta. And that's baseball was, like, not very with it, which makes sense because he does have, like, some ridiculous upside. And he's not even their best, minor league pitcher. I mean, his Stuff Plus, he probably had the best stuff in the entire Yankees farm a year ago. And the Yankees farm a year ago had Cam Schlittler, who came up and delivered kind of an all-timer against Boston. This one, Cleveland Guardians star Jose Ramirez signed an extension. It's 106 in new money, $70 million of which is deferred for 10 years, and turns the 3-year, $69 million into 7 years, $175. Hector Gomez was in on the news. Okay, so I don't even. I'll talk about the Dodgers people saying, "Look, other teams are doing it. No one's upset." In a sec, but I'll just offer this. I'm anticipating in the next 2 years, maybe after the work stoppage, I'm anticipating that the Guardians are going to sell the team to David Blitzer, who his net worth, if you just do a quick Google search, is over $3 billion, which is higher than if you quick Google search, house time renters. Now, obviously, you can't look too much into that, but just to give you an idea of, like, wealthiness. One of the things the Guardians get, Guardians fans complain about at great length is how cheap their team is. And this is the only real move the Guardians have done. They're going to be cheap everywhere. The roster is going to be very, very, very cheap. No bad contracts, and you're going to keep your star player, and Jose Ramirez is going to retire a Guardian. I'm sure that if there is a plan to sell it to Blitzer, which it seems like there is, and it's like the worst kept secret, I'm sure he had, they checked with him before, inking this deal. And I don't like people comparing the deferrals to what the Dodgers are doing at all. I think it's disingenuous. I do want to play this. This is Antonetti. The big question they're going to have to answer is, okay, are you trying to win in the prime of Jose Ramirez's career? Because you just added him and you haven't added anything else. So I want to play this and chat about it.
Clubhouse. I think at the end of the year press conference you said that when it came to maybe bringing in bats, it was going to be internal and external. Obviously, there was a big emphasis on keeping things internal. Why was there such an emphasis on just keeping this group together? And when it came to looking at other free agents, trades, what have you, why was it important to keep this group as it is so far?
We spent a lot of time thinking about ways where we can improve as a team, and as we looked at a lot of the external, the possibility of external additions, one of the questions we continually have to ask ourselves is whose opportunity does this impede? Which guys will we not be able to give plate appearance to because we're signing at a free agent? And in the end, we made the determination that we have a really exciting group of young players that are starting to emerge at the major league level and a depth beneath that we want to give them an opportunity to contribute and fuel our success.
So they're in a unique place because obviously Jose plays a really hard type of baseball. He is hustling always, singles and doubles, stolen bases, a 40-40 candidate just about every year for the last couple of years at least. And they are going to give guys like Manzardo, DeLauder, I think Bazzana, who they drafted number 1 overall a couple years ago, like all those guys are going to come up, and they're not going to look to add anything expensive. They're going to trust their development, and hopefully it works out. I don't love the approach, but at the same time, it's funny because a year ago, they were using a Carlos Santana to kind of take away at bats from Manzardo, and so I am glad they have learned on that front. At the same time, the Guardians have a couple guys that, they need to figure it out with entirely. What's Bo Naylor doing? They traded Josh Naylor, and they didn't really upgrade it first, and Josh's brother Bo isn't very good. But I do think it's going to be a youth movement. I think that some teams, the Nationals, saw kind of the signs of a bright future with what the A's did a year ago. Even though they weren't a great team, you saw signs of the bright future. And they're like, okay, let me try to replicate that. Now, not everybody has a Nick Kurtz, but I mean they have their Brent Rooker and Jose Ramirez. So we'll see what that looks like, and I am anticipating kind of the sale of that team moving forward, and then we will see if they do sell the team. Are we going to get an influx of cash? Now, Guardians, we talked about the young players, but that being important. A couple young players they have in the Baseball America top 100. Travis Bazzana, obviously, he was the number 1 overall pick. Chase DeLauder, who I think he was on the playoff roster. Chase DeLauder was going to make the team a year ago, but he has a glass body and deals with a ton of injuries. The Angel Giano kid, I got to see in Akron. He's fantastic. He's small. I think he's going to be a second baseman, not a shortstop, but we'll see. But if he is a second baseman, then Bazzana can't be a second baseman. So maybe he will be a shortstop, but he just felt a little small to me. I do know that I am anticipating Bazzana to get some outfield work as well. Parker Messick, really talented left-handed pitcher. Ralphie's good too. I don't know if there's a spot for Ralphie, just given the fact that Manzardo, I think, is a pro's pro and going to be a pro baseball player for a long time. All right, saw this. Want to address it just because I think it matters. Blake Harris, Dodgers guy, I'm sure. Let me just look. Okay, yeah. So Blake Harris is a Dodgers guy. Replies on this post about Jose Ramirez. The Dodgers are once again ruining baseball and taking advantage of the system. Wait, this is another team. So other teams are allowed to do this. And 29 other fan bases have no issue when a team other than the Dodgers do it. Got it. This feels really disingenuous and kind of missing the point and unable to speak about the sport with nuance. It's not just the deferrals. It's the level of the deferrals that I think bugs people. And then additionally, it's the fact that there's so much outside money that they have, and they feel like they have unlimited resources when signing players, something that other teams will not adhere to. But I thought that was an insane thing. And I think when people see deferrals, Dodgers fans, that's their trigger word almost. Look, they're deferring. Anybody can deferral. And there's not really so much of a frustration with the Dodgers as there is with the structure of the MLB that allows the Dodgers to kind of be uncompetitively good, if that makes sense. Now, I did have a couple things that I just wanted to touch on because I do think we're heading toward a work stoppage, and I'm kind of trying to monitor it on the way. Dodgers co-owner got asked about the ruining baseball comment. Ultimately, you want really big teams that are really pulling the league forward, which fair. And sometimes pulling the league forward requires a work stoppage, which I think people don't want, and rule changes to try to neutralize the playing field. You know what? Let's play this one first. I listened to this, and I thought Gordon did a great job discussing some of the frustration.
Modern baseball.
And
the Dodgers don't
laying out the Dodgers thing in a way that I think is generally really important.
Modern baseball. The Dodgers don't just have more money than everyone else. They kind of have better money than everyone else.
And this is something that I a lot of people are, a lot of Dodgers fans don't want to hear this side of it. And no one's accusing the Dodgers of doing anything illegal. And I think that's the big thing. It's they're saying, well, this isn't illegal. This isn't illegal. This isn't illegal. No, we agree. But it's removing a feeling of anything can happen and teams X, Y, and Z can win it all. And I think that is ruining things for some fan bases.
So the most important part of this entire puzzle is local television revenue. The Dodgers have the most lucrative TV contract in Major League Baseball. It's not one of, it is one of one. And it makes them not just rich, but the cash flow of it is stable money. And that matters a whole lot more. And I'll explain why coming into this. So the Dodgers in 2013, they signed a new TV deal for 25 years. They signed a new TV deal.
2013, new TV deal. Important note. 2013, new TV deal.
For 25 years, $8.53 billion. It's more than $8 billion. And it created their own network, Sportsnet LA, and it's roughly worth $330 million a year for 25 years. And the real kicker of this was because of the
So immediately that sets your ceiling very, very high. Quick note.
previous owner, Frank McCourt, his bankruptcy settlement structure, the way it came about, most of that money, that TV money for the Dodgers, does not get swept into the revenue sharing pool. So while other teams are handing over big checks to baseball as part of that, the Dodgers get to keep most of that money. So that's a massive advantage. And baseball, MLB, has raised concerns about it. They don't.
So think about how crazy it is. So they sign the biggest deal, the biggest TV market deal in the history of baseball, in a time where everybody has to kick into the main MLB pot, but because of some legal jargon that I don't know the gist of, they don't have to kick in as much. So they're making the most and not kicking in the most. And I think that is where other owners are rightfully frustrated. And it's almost like an accidental loophole, but nothing's actually an accident. So what the fuck am I talking about?
Don't like it. In fact, they hate it. But that money is guaranteed, it's locked in, and it gives the Dodgers a financial advantage and runway that no other team has. But again, that's not a player problem, that's an owner problem. So when people say, why don't other teams just spend like the Dodgers? The answer is they can't really. Even though other teams are rich as well, they don't have that financial engine that the Dodgers do that is plotted out year in and year out. Because for most baseball teams, not everyone, but most, TV money is the driver of their financial engine. But, not only are the Dodgers making more money than everybody else, over the last decade, that engine for TV deals has exploded for a lot of teams. Regional sports networks have collapsed. Right fees have been slashed. Payments have been delayed and are missing, if not outright eliminated. So teams have gone from being able to project stable cash flow, not knowing now if the checks are even coming. So you can't, like the Dodgers and their deferred contracts, you could do that if you know for the next 25 years you're going to be making money. You can't do that if your regional sports network is falling apart. You can't do, play big in free agency. You can't offer deferred contracts like that if you don't know what your finances are going to look 5 years from now. The Dodgers clearly do. Their TV deal is locked in, it's predictable, and critically, they don't have to share as much of it with the rest of baseball as other revenue streams. So when people say, why don't other teams just do what the Dodgers do? They can't. And that's why.
I think that was a really good kind of layman's terms painting the picture. Now, obviously, like the Dodgers do give the MLB a pretty healthy chunk of change, but again, they're able to get the most and not give the most, and I think that's a pretty important note. To anyone who ever says, okay, other teams can do what the Dodgers are doing, they just choose not to. That is, I think, pretty misleading. Now, I do think all of this because owners are upset about it. I think winning does matter to owners too. Just real quick, there are some owners that like, okay, winning doesn't matter, but like most owners, or at least the owners that are upset about this and loud about this, do absolutely want to win. So I think it's pretty inevitable that I think we're going to see a work stoppage, but had a little bit of a salary cap talk on foul territory. Want to dig into and give some extra thoughts.
If salary caps are so great, why does the NBA, the NHL, the NFL have work stoppages too, right? If salary cap is wonderful, the cure-all, why do the Kansas City Chiefs go to like every Super Bowl? They're like, oh, it helped parity, right? The Patriots won all those Super Bowls. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl every year. So can you give us the players' thoughts? You don't have to give the thought on.
Also, real quick, parity in the NFL and the NBA is incredibly great. I think like in the NFL every year you have 5 teams, like 5 new teams make the playoffs like every single year, which is incredible parity. But I guess at the same time, like college football, there's no salary cap, and they're dealing with some MLB-like issues, and there is incredible parity.
On this cap, but just when you talk to other players, some thoughts that they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just hit on some major points, right? It's not like a salary cap inherently offers this parity, inherently levels the playing field, because you look at the NFL and the NBA, and you name. I mean, the Patriots did their thing, went on their run. The Chiefs did the same thing.
People say that the Patriots did go on their run, and a lot of that had to do with the longevity of Tom Brady. But like, think about how long Wes Welker was on that team, and Wes Welker never ever won a Super Bowl. And I think honestly, there is parity in those sports. Those sports are also one game elimination in NFL football. Yeah, because what did Brady play, like 20 years?
You look at the NBA; the Warriors dominated for so many years.
Yeah, the Warriors dominated for so many years because they almost got to operate with no cap space, because there was a time where Tyler Johnson was making more money than Steph Curry because Steph Curry had the ankle injury, so they were able to lock him into a long-term deal for super cheap because he could not stay healthy. And in that time frame, they were able to sign Kevin Durant. That is what happened there.
And those are in 2 leagues with caps, right? So it's not like you just
Which is essentially like the deferral.
install a cap and all of a sudden now the playing field is level. Now there's going to be a different World Series winner every year. There's going to be different teams in the playoffs every year. That's not how it works. It's a way for owners to increase their leverage, and it does exactly what it's going to do. It decreases salaries. It doesn't offer any answers to the questions and the issues that exist in the league. And I think it's kind of seen as this, like you said, this fix-all thing that, you just install a salary cap and all the problems are done. They're solved. And that couldn't be further from the truth on a number of different levels.
Yeah, now that's Brent Rooker. Now here's the thing. That the biggest obstacle to the salary cap is going to be players who are, I mean, like right now, what is the number? Like MLB players get like 47% of revenue compared to the owners getting 53%. I think the NFL and NBA, I think it's closer to 50-50, but I don't know. Salary caps work, but how do you sell players who now go into negotiations and they can't get as much as they want because of salary cap? It just, yeah, players are going to be so anti this, which is why the work stoppage is 1,000% coming. Want to end on a couple like fun notes that I thought were cool. I thought this was funny. Back in 2017, when the Rangers were negotiating a contract extension with the 23-year-old Odor, the team threw in 2 horses to seal the deal. Love that. I love like weird stuff in contracts. And then I saw this, I was like, oh my God, like we'll never see this again.
Brewers and Reds, Milwaukee up 3.5 in the Central. Aaron Harang, he hasn't lost a game since May 20th, 5-0 in 11 starts. Meanwhile, Chris Capuano 0-6 in his last 10 starts. Capuano strikes out Ryan Friel. 8 innings, 7 Ks, 1 run allowed. Harang strikes out Prince Fielder.
I mean, you had one guy go 8 innings, another guy go 10 innings. Like, this doesn't happen.
The slider. We go to extras, tied at 1. We'll start at the top of the 10th. 2 out. Harang still on the mound, facing Corey Hart. Gets him. 10 innings, 10 Ks. First NL pitcher to go 10 since Mark Mulder in 05. 11th inning, David Weathers on the mound. Bases loaded, nobody out. Top play nominee. Why? Because Johnny Estrada grounds into the 3-2-3 double play, and that was a huge play for the.
Also, like, this was in 07. This feels like when you watch, like, 90s basketball and everyone's doing the most basic moves. Like, no one looks like the kind of explosive Twitch monster athlete they do now. In large part because, like, we got, like, sports medicine and sports science doing a lot of the legwork. But it's just crazy to, like, optically, like, look back. Especially because, like, as a kid, like, I would watch SportsCenter and, like, see these guys, you know, on SportsCenter. It felt like the craziest shit ever then.
The Reds. It's not all about acrobatics and diving. It's about, timing.
Absolutely.
Kevin Metz flying to right, and Ken Griffey Jr. ends the inning with that catch. And
Griffey go.
Bags were full with 2 outs, so the Reds escape, still tied at 1 to the 12th. Ned Yost giving Grant Balfour some advice. Bottom 12, David Ross in the box, and Ross lays down the bunt. Balfour gets it, the throw to third. Norris Hopper beats it. Everybody's safe, bags full. Next batter, Javier Valentin, base hit. Norris Hopper would score, and Fundamental Baseball gets the Reds a 2-1 victory.
Dude, look at that final stat line. Harang, 10 innings pitched, 1 earned run, no walks, 10 Ks. And then Rye, dude, 3 for 5, a home run. Just a crazy stat.
And they do it in 12 innings.
Crazy. I love old baseball like that. That's all I got today. Make sure you like and sub. We appreciate the support. And we'll be back probably with a big episode with the full panel at some time later this week. Appreciate you guys. And make sure you go check us out on all socials as well. And then I'll talk to you guys soon.